Now the thing is, I did not grow up in a sporty house, okay? Wolfishes did not play competitive sports. And we didn't watch competitive sports. Like, my dad had 2 daughters and a wife who were totally uninterested, so like once a year he would watch a Bills game, you know, with a beer. I can't run, I can't throw, I can't catch. Like, if you wad up a piece of paper and throw it at me, I'll go, because this is not part of my skill set. But when I met and married Andrew Cole, I chose a man who was kind and funny and calm and rational and sporty as fuck. Like, this guy, every weekend was go to the park and play hoops and golfing, and he brings golf clubs on vacations and all this, and we're watching. There are sports on television like 24/7, 365. You can be watching sports. We're dating and we're making out, and I'm realizing that he's watching the TV out of the corner of his eye. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? This is who I married, this good man. And we have Emily, and clearly she's gotten the wolfish genes. Like, Emily Ixnay on the Ord Spay, right? But 4 years later, along comes Jonah. And Andrew has what he's wanted all this time. He's got a son who's gonna be his companion in all this sporty shit. And just like that kid had no choice about being brought up Jewish and Democrat, he had no choice about growing up a Nets fan and a Jets fan and a Mets fan. This was his heritage. As soon as he was in kindergarten, Andrew was coaching his t-ball teams, and by 2nd grade it was, let him stay up till 11 o'clock on a school night. The Mets are in the playoffs, this, you know. And by high school, Jonah is spending all afternoon, every Sunday, on the couch, screaming at the NFL players that, like, they should hear him in the stadium. This is my kid. And when Jonah goes off to college, Andrew's clearly bummed out. He's lost his companion, but they have a way to stay connected. And this is gonna be fantasy baseball. Now, in case you don't know, let me give you like a brief primer on fantasy baseball, okay? You can play with friends, or you can play with random humans inside the computer. It's all managed by an app on the phone, right? And real life guys, they draft real life baseball players from the major leagues onto an imaginary team, and then they spend the next 6 months obsessing every day about their imaginary baseball team. Because when your guys in real life do something good, you get points, and when they do something bad, you don't get points. And the people with the most points, that's who wins. So you have to trade with the other imaginary managers, and you have to sit guys down and bring guys up, and you have to scout, and you have to wake up at 3 in the morning, because that's when the fantasy day or week or some shit begins. I mean, this is never ending, okay, for 6 months, all day, every day. And they divide up the labor. Andrew's in charge of scouting and making trades, and it turns out Jonah's job is every day he has to launch the app on his phone, which is fine because that phone is in his hand every second anyway. And he has to launch the app and push a button that says, we have these guys on our roster, but these are the guys we're playing, because you have more guys on your roster than you can actually play. And on this day before our anniversary, for the first time in all the time they've been playing fantasy baseball, their team, the Seattle Pilots, has a chance of making it to the playoffs. and they're playing their rival, Pico de Gallo, and Jonah has failed to launch the app and activate their guides. So they have these two really hot shit pitchers who they're counting on to get a ton of points this day against Pico de Gallo, and these two guys are riding the bench because Jonah didn't push the button. Their whole season is gonna come down to this unforced error on my son's part. And Jonah is so bummed out, and Andrew is so bummed out. And I feel bad for both of them. Like they've tried so hard. There have been daily FaceTimes and texting and all this, and it's all gonna come down to these two guys. As the day goes on, these two pitchers accumulate a total of 56 points that the Seattle Pilots will not get credit for. So we have to hope that the next day, somehow, miraculously, the guys who are left to play, because the week ends Sunday night, the guys who are left to play for the Pilots will make up the gap. We wake up Sunday morning, we say goodbye to Sam and Tina, and we're driving home from Long Island to Simsbury, only do you know what's right between Long Island and Simsbury? City Field. And we decide we're gonna take, Andrew and I, a spontaneous stop. We're gonna watch the Mets are playing at 1:40. And it's a beautiful day. Like even Frank Wolfish's daughter likes going to the ball field on a 70-degree, no humidity September day. Like what's not to like about that? So we get really good seats and we go to the ball game, and we're watching two things happening at once. We're watching the Mets play the Pirates right in front of us, and we're watching the Pilots play Pico de Gallo on our phones all at the same time. And the Pilots are doing okay. They pull within 14 points of Pico de Gallo, right? We have a shot. And this guy on the Pirates named O'Neal Cruz, he comes up to bat and he hits a 3-run dinger out of the park. And now the Pirates are ahead of the Mets, and the Mets might lose. And I say to Andrew, oh, that's bad. And he says, not for my fantasies. We have O'Neal Cruz on our team. So this is going on. Soon enough, it's really apparent, however, that the Mets will beat the Pirates, but the Pilots cannot overcome their shortfall, and they will not beat Pico de Gallo. And this incredible thing starts to happen. Andrew's watching his phone and rooting for the guys playing afternoon games who are on the Pico de Gallo roster. And I say, like, why are you doing that? What the hell? And he says, I want us to lose by more than 56 points. He says, we can't win. Now I want to lose by so much that Jonah's unforced error isn't why we lose. He says, I'm in this for the long haul. I don't want Jonah to feel so bad that next spring he won't do fantasy with me. I just want to keep playing. And I'm amazed. I mean, this man who I've always known to be so kind and so gentle is such a good father that he's rooting to lose by a lot. He wants to get his ass kicked so that Jonah will keep playing. As we drive home from Citi Field, it all comes down to this one guy, a guy named Max Muncy, playing for the Padres. He's the last player on the Pico de Gallo roster who's gonna still play that day. If Max Muncy gets so much as a base hit, they'll lose by more than those 56 points. And we listen all the way home. Guy comes up to bat the first time, strikes out. Guy comes up to bat the second time, strikes out. Guy comes up to bat the third time, the son of a bitch strikes out again. And by the time we get home, Max Muncy's gonna have one more at-bat. This is it. And we're upstairs unpacking, and we're listening to the game, and Max Muncy hits a double. And now Pico de Gallo has beaten the Pilots by 58 points. The 56 that we left sitting on the bench didn't matter because he would have won anyway. And Andrew's cheering. He's cheering for Max Muncy and he's cheering for the Seattle Pilots. And I'm cheering too. I'm cheering because 29 years ago that day, I made a really good choice. And I'm pretty sure that given the chance, I would make it again. Thank you.